Welcome to We'd Rather Be Reading. I'm Jerrica.
And I am Lia. And it's February, so clearly now is the correct time to be talking about last year, right?
But you know what? It took some time in January for us to get, for Goodreads to give us the lowdown on exactly what we read last year. Mm-hmm. How many books did you read last year?
135.
I read 157.
That's insanity. Okay, what was your, how many pages did you read?
960.
No, pages.
Oh, wow. I don't know.
You don't have this. You need to go to my year in books in Goodreads. They will tell you how many pages. I read 48,851 pages. I just want to put that out there.
Okay, that's probably more than mine because I read way less. Way more shorter books, right?
I mean, you're 20 books up on me, so clearly you got to be up there in the pages as well. Go on my books and then if you scroll down a little bit on my books, the next one.
My books.
And then you scroll down just a little bit, you have my year. There we go.
Okay, let's see. I have read 54,368 pages. How many did you?
48,800.
Okay, I was a little tiny bit more.
Yeah. What was your shortest book?
My shortest book was a second part book to a duology. And it was 98 pages. How nice.
What was the book?
It was called Love Me Dirty by Lia and Jerrica. And I talked about this book last year because the first book has a really girly, frilly cover. And the second book, the cover is black with a whiskey glass. So it's really, you don't think they're remotely the same books. And their titles don't match either. So you wouldn't know that this was even in this series.
Fair enough. My shortest book was Open Water by Caleb Azuman Nelson. And I did talk about this book on the pod. It was 145 pages. And it was good, but I listened to this book and it was read by the author and he put me to sleep. Because he had the most soothing of all of the voices.
Oh, but that's nice.
It's a very nice voice for sleeping. I kept losing the thread of the story because he was just so calm and soothing. Which was a bit annoying. Is your longest book Court by Tracy Wolfe as well?
No, it's not.
You read something longer than that.
My longest book is Crown of Chaos by Amelia Hutchins.
Oh, fair enough.
So this was the one where, what is she? Is she a phoenix? Is she a dragon? It was 781 pages.
Because Court was 710.
Okay.
So it was up there. Yeah. It was approximately 550 pages too long, I would say, Court.
True.
Could have been done in 150 pages.
Yeah.
Did not need those extra 550.
No.
All right. So what was your best book of the year?
I actually really liked a series that's by a Canadian author. And it's a romance. I read some good fantasy novels this year also, or last year I should say. But my favorite one is this small town romance. And the first one, he's not a cowboy, but he's bull rider, a famous bull rider. Okay. And the second book, it's his brother who is a rancher. And this is where I kept telling you about how much I have fallen in love with this small town cowboy romances. Okay, so the author is called Elsie Silver. She's Canadian. And these books are also set in Canada, which I appreciate because, hello, write what you know. You don't need to be set somewhere in New York like everything is set in, right? So the very first book is called Flawless by Elsie Silver, and second one is called Heartless, and there's going to be a third one that's called Powerless that comes out February 10th. Oh my God, so soon!
And, this with a new book in a series coming out. I've had this twice already this year and it's only February with it's not fully in the same series but The Stolen Heir as Folk of the Air books. So I reread the Folk of the Air, The Cruel Prince, The Wicked King and The Queen of Nothing in anticipation of The Stolen Heir because I just didn't want to start. I love those books so much that I didn't want to start reading and be like, who? And what are we doing here? Why are they doing this? I must have forgotten stuff. And then right now I just started, because it came out Tuesday. Yeah. The Chain of Thorns, Cassandra Clare, The Last Hours series, book number 3. So I had to reread the first two in that. And they are long books. And also, as I'm reading, half listening, half reading, I realized I had forgotten pretty much everything apart from the fact that they, at the end of book 2, go to Paris. That was literally all I remembered about these entire books. So it's a very good thing that I reread them. I would have been so confused starting on book 3 otherwise. So, I mean, there's benefits to having the books come out or be out by the time you read them, because it saves you time for rereading. But it's also so nice to reread.
Yeah, I
love rereading.
I very much want to reread the court books, because I still... When I read all of these fantasy books, and then a new one comes out, when I don't remember parts of it, it makes me think to myself, I mustn't have really loved it. Because I can recite everything that happened in Sarah J. Maas's court books, and even in Holly Black's books, too. Like, it's a memorable story and a memorable characters.
Yeah, but you know me, I don't retain story or characters. I retain the feeling the book left me with. So I'm like, this book was great. Why? Because I was very happy when I finished it. Took me on this roller coaster, gives me a warm glow. It sparks joy, to quote Marie Kondo. But literally, this is what I retain from them. And it's not about the story. I'm not going to be like, it was a riveting story. What happened? I'm like, I don't know. I really don't know. Like, I love Six of Crows. Like, I try to like tell people to read Six of Crows, and everyone's like, what it's about? And I'm like, it's a heist book. Yeah, but what is it about? And I'm like, well,
you can't explain what it's about.
And then they go on this heist. I can't remember why they go on the heist. I have some scenes that are really memorable, like when they're in the back of that wagon with all the corpses. But no, nothing. It's like, I love them. I know in my heart, in my body, that I love these books.
Okay.
But I cannot tell you what they're about. Which I think I'm such a prime person for rereading, because it's like, some people are like, oh, I wish I could experience this for the first time. And like, when I pick it up, it's like the first time. Every time I pick it up.
That's amazing quality. Yeah. Because I was thinking the other day, like, there's, of course, new authors, and it was on the news the other day that now people are teaming up to write books more than they had ever done before, to create, like, new creative content. And I kept thinking to myself, like, when are these stories, like, going to start to recycle? Like, when will I get to the end of reading the genres that I like to read? Yeah. Of course, there's going to be millions of books and genres I don't like to read.
That's like trying to listen to all the songs on Spotify. What is that, like a million years or something?
I know, of course. But I don't like to read things before, and I know this is going to sound crazy, but like 2018. Like, things that were published before in around like 2012. It's too old. The references are not there for me.
I think this is because you read too much contemporary romance stuff.
Yeah.
I think if you were to just go fantasy, like say Sarah J. Maas or whatever, then it doesn't matter when it's...
No, you're right.
Unless you go back to that awful witchy book with the tomatoes and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Because that one was very dated. And then it was the one that I read too that took place, that was written in like the 70s or the 80s. And they were like... When they were in the real world, like, you could see them. They looked like the Madonna videos when she bounces around in her jean jacket. Like, it was very dated, those kind of references. But most of the fantasy books, if you are not in the human world, it doesn't really matter.
No, you're right. Because, you're right. It is contemporary romance that I can't get with
contemporary romance
from before. So I like things that are new, and that's why I was thinking I need people to continue to write new stuff so I can read the new stuff. What was your favorite book this year? Or last year?
I mean, I have a few.
Yeah.
I have like the one that made me win arguments, like Vladimir.
Oh, right.
And then I have the one that challenged me and was super weird, like The Library at Montchar. Like, I love that book. Again, can't tell you very much what it's about. It was... Yeah, it's all out. And obviously one of my favorite authors, Emily St. John Mandel, released Sea of Tranquility, which was amazing, and it's a follow-up on, or it's in the same universe as a lot of her other books, which I love. But my favorite book of the year, I don't know. It's hard. It's a hard thing to choose, it's gonna probably have to be maybe Lee Bardugo's Ninth House. I really like that because I love Lee Bardugo. But also the idea of you.
Oh, that's on my worst.
I loved this book. Like I loved it, and it's yeah. But I mean, I read so many good books. Like just scrolling through all my books, it's like wow,
It was a good year.
And then it was like read the weird books like that. My husband keeps sending me books, right?
Yeah.
And some of them are good, some of them are terrible. He gets a lot of inspiration from TikTok, so that's hit and miss. Okay. But The Push, which was literally about like giving birth. It was like a mindfuck, that book, but it was really, really good.
We read Full Tilt and All In last year, and that was my favorite, sort of like up there on all-time romance books. Like super sad. And I think the reason why I think it's so long-lasting is because the memory of it is like there. Like the emotion of it is still in me. And it had a bit of everything, it had spice and it had controversy. It had like intellectual, like it was creative. Anyway, so that's my favorite top of the line romance book. And the covers are crap. So I think people wouldn't pick this up, and I really hope that they do because it's so, so good. Yeah. Did we read?
Well, we read together, but we also read a lot separately.
Yeah.
Like I really like the Archived, which is the Victoria Schwab book, and I mean I love Victoria Schwab. She wrote Addie LaRue, and she wrote like a lot of the other good books. And this one, I wasn't too excited about it because. Right. It's kind of oldish, and it didn't like, it's like, in this library, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, snore, just finish, the Library of Mount Char. And I'm like, nothing's going to live up to this library, Yeah. And then I read them, and I loved them. Like, I loved them so much. I loved the characters, and it was real in a way that, and I think we've come to the conclusion that I like my shit to be real these days. But she was like in school, this girl. And her parents, like, it was hard for her to go out and do, like, the things that she had to do for her job, which was maintaining, sending souls back into the library. Like, dead people are kept in this library, and then sometimes their souls escape because they get restless and they wake up, and then you need to send them back. And her job was literally to take care of, like, this one corridor. Where they could get out, and then she got like a little notification saying can you retrieve this person, and then she'd go in, but it was difficult for her to get out and do this because her parents were actually parents, and they were actually on her case. And it wasn't like a lot of these teenage stories where you're like, I mean, I'm a teenage mom these days, and I'm like, yeah, you're telling me my 15-year-old would be out and about at all hours of the night. I'm like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
There'd be a lock on their door on the outside. Like, there's no way in hell. Like, a lot of the time with these books, like, they have to go to boarding school or whatever because they have to get away from the parents. But those ones are really, really good. And the love story in them was really, really real. And I mean, I loved it. And I was, like, rooting for them and all of this and that. So that one was very good. And it was, I think it was just a duology.
Cool.
Which was nice.
Last year was filled with a lot more romance than I had ever read before, and that was mostly because I had baby brain, right?
Yeah.
So
you forced me down the path of some terrible romance stories there. It was tough.
But they were easy and light, and that is the recap of my year. It was light, it was romantic, and quite simple.
Whereas I think you forcing me into this romantic, light, and quite simple, and also completely unbelievable because of all the boys being extremely ripped and all the girls being extremely hot and everyone being
not always, but okay.
Or, being extremely not hot and still all the guys are falling over themselves to be with them because of their amazing personality or whatever, I then went a little bit further towards the serious stuff. So I actually have quite a lot of like the more serious books that I read this year. that, I mean, I read on my own then because you were like, I don't think so.
My brain
this requires brain power, and I just don't have any to spare today. So, I mean, I read Deep Light, and I read White Ivy, I read Vladimir, I read The Candy House, I read Open Water and Counterfeit and Our Wives Under the Sea. You know, like I read all of these like serious adult-y books, like How High We Go in the Dark and The Push.
Well, what's it going to be this year? Are we going to go back to fantasy? Right now I'm listening to the 4th part of a fantasy book that I had read the year before. Mm-hmm. I don't remember it, but I remember parts of it. Like there are shadow dogs.
Fair enough. And I mean, I'm also in fantasy land in a way because I'm in with the Shadow Hunters. You know, I'm with Cassandra Clare and the Shadow Hunters. Yeah. This is what I'm reading right now. And then I was looking because I think Danielle L. Jensen is releasing book number 4 because we did the Bridge Kingdom and the Traitor Queen, and then she released the Inadequate Heir, and I haven't read that one yet because the second one, because they go together like a 2 duologies in the same universe kind of thing, and the second one in this second part, the duology, is coming out, I believe, this year. So I was trying before coming here to figure out when will this come out, because I do want to read those, because I really like those, and those were our favorites for 2021. They were up there with the absolute most atrocious covers ever. Yeah, do you remember those watercolor weird? Yeah, that didn't look like anything. I realized that I started this book with the very religious Morgan L. Busey books with the religious theme where she gets married off. Like Cry of the Raven was my first review of the year, and I don't know if that was I think it was book 3. I think you stopped after book 1. Mm-hmm. And I kept going.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So what was the absolute worst book of the year then? Now we talked about great stuff.
I mean, it's not the worst book because it's not the actual worst book, but I hated the idea of you the most, and because I'm still angry at it. So I'm not saying it's a bad book, but I'm just very angry. Like, you know, you were saying that you remember the book based on the emotion. I remember this book in pure white fire anger. So the idea of you by Robin Lee, a good book, but my least favorite, let's say, result or ending or whatever you want to call it. But then the actual, The Spanish Love Deception was the #1 romance of 2021. And I didn't really love it, but I went on to read the second book. That was the most anticipated romance because it's the second book of the highest rated romance book the year before, called The American Roommate Experience. And I thought it was garbage.
I read The Spanish Love Deception too. It was all right. I mean, it was
Elena Armas is the author, and so the second book is called The American Roommate Experience, and it's where the main character's brother moves in with the main character, or from the first book, main character's best friend. So the brother and the best friend are roommates for this like entire book, and he is interested in her and she's secretly interested in him, but there's this like no chemistry, zero fire. Anyways, I was thinking the whole time, can I just not finish this book? Is that okay? Is it okay if I don't finish this book? In my summary or my review, I said I liked the last 5%, but the rest was just nonsensical.
I just realized that I forgot to mark a book in Goodreads because I was like, where's book number 2? I know I read book number 2, and it just wasn't on there. So I would have actually read another book because I know for a fact that I did read this book. And it was The Lady's Guide to Petticoats and Piracy.
Did you read The Lady's Guide to Fortune Hunting?
No, the first one is A Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue.
Okay.
Which I read. And then I read book number 2, but clearly I forgot to mark that I started it or finished it. Anyways, besides the point. That was not what I was going to say. The absolute worst book of 2022 is without a fucking doubt The Night Shift. Misadventures of the Night Shift, and also Misadventures of the Rebound.
This is not mine.
Lauren Rowe did me dirty with these piece of shit books.
They were so bad.
They were so bad. There was nothing good about
first book we read from her was so
The College Girl, which was really good. And then she gave us these two pieces of shit books, and they were by far the worst. By fucking far.
I think we might agree on the next category where it was the most anticipated book and that we were disappointed by. Mm-hmm. And that was Glow by Raven Kennedy.
Oh, God.
Right?
I still hate that book. Like, I think I gave it a 2-star.
Yeah.
And I mean, I loved her other books.
I know.
She just destroyed those characters. She also did us dirty.
Yeah.
Bad Raven Kennedy.
Yeah.
Bad
Raven. I say that at home all the time.
Yeah. She did us. That was not good. And then I follow her on Instagram, and she's like, "Oh, I love her journey." I'm like, "Which you fucked up in the last book. Like, you messed it up."
I feel like it got commercial, right? It got to like, we need to sell this book. We need to have more spice from these characters. So let's do a journey book on their relationship.
But it wasn't good. She turned she turned the good male love interest into the bad one, basically.
Yeah.
She took everything that Midas did to her that was awful and terrible, and then she makes Slade do the same shit to her, like similar stuff. He's not respecting her. He's not waiting for consent. He's like lying to her. He's withholding information from her. He is like pushing her when she doesn't need to be pushed. He's doing all of these things, which are just bad. And he literally fucking sexes her into oblivion, which is ridiculous. So she misses meetings. So she's not allowed to make decisions for her own life, which is just ruined her journey. It was bad.
So agreed.
Agreed.
But I do look forward to the next one.
And I don't know if I can.
But you know what? Raven did this to you in the first book too. You thought the first book was garbage.
The first book was different because then we understood in the second one why. So unless in book 5, she makes him leave Slade, because she realizes that he's done the same fucking shit to her that Midas did, which she won't because this is the love story that we're supposed to be rooting for. Okay. No, I don't know if I can. I'm sorry, I don't know if I'll be able to read the next one.
It's the last one.
I'm still angry.
I know.
I'm still angry.
I feel it. I feel the anger.
I just found here a book that is also living very much in my brain. As much as I don't remember things that happen in books, like I remember this book. Ooh. And it is My Dark Vanessa. Oh. And I think I talked to you about this because it's by Kate Elizabeth Russell. And basically this is Lolita, but from the girl's perspective.
Okay.
And it's about this like 13-year-old girl who starts, I think she's 13 or 14, she starts a relationship with her 40-year-old teacher at her boarding school. And it is disgusting. Like it is, but we get it all from her point of view. Like the way he grooms her and the way he takes advantage of her and the way he like, when he sleeps with her the first time and she's like, you're in her head, you know she's not ready for this and she doesn't know how to say no to him. And it is torture, like this whole book, but it's so twisted and you just want to pick her up, this girl, and you just want to shake her and you just want to be like, stop it. This man does not care for you like that. He is a fucking predator and he is harming you. But she's like, he loves me. You're like, no, he doesn't.
No.
And then she's disgusted by his, like I still think about this book a lot. It was very hard to read, but so well written. But just the theme of it was very difficult to get through to because it's also when you're in it, because you're in her head. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you get swept up with it because you're reading her thoughts. And then you're like, want to slap yourself. And you're like, stop it. No, this is not good. That he's reaching out to her. Like, no, enough. And you have to like be hard on yourself and be like, no, you stop that. Uh-huh. But because it's all her mind and her thoughts, it's like, it was very well written. Very, very, very well written.
Cool.
So,
what do you look forward to for the next year?
Well, I mean, 2 of the books that we're looking forward to are already out, which is The Stolen Heir and now this Chain of Thorns.
Yeah.
those I'm looking forward to. I am looking forward to the Danielle L. Jensen book, the second one, so I can finally read that duology. And I did read these other books also by Danielle L. Jensen last year. Now I can't find them here in my list, but they were very, very good. And there's a massive cliffhanger at the end. The Dark Shores book, Dark Shores, Dark Skies, and Gilded Serpent. And there's going to be a fourth book coming out in the Dark Shores series, but which is called Scorched Earth. And I believe it's going to be published this year. So this I am very, very much looking forward to, because this series was fantastic. And I don't think you've read it yet, so you should give this a chance.
No, I haven't read it. I haven't read it. But I have it inscribed as a read this.
And I also found that there's a 0.5 novella in there that's an audiobook. So I'm gonna read. I'm gonna listen to that when I'm done with the Chain of Thorns, which is 30 hours long in this audiobook. So I'll be busy for a little bit, and then I'll get to it. So that's what I'm really looking forward to this year. I don't know if there's any other books we're waiting for. I read the Holly Black book, the Book of Night, last year. I don't know when her next one is going to come out.
I wish Goodreads had that as a boop boop. This book came out.
It's supposed to come out 2024, so I'm a year early for that one. And something else is the next Glow. Glint, that one's coming out this year.
Yeah. The Raven Kennedy series.
See if you will read it. See if I can.
I will definitely read it.
Yeah, I will see if I will read it. I don't know about that. And I'm sure there's also another one of the Tracy Wolf books probably. There's got to be number 1,046.
I don't know if I can anymore with those books because
Cherish.
It is so repetitive.
Yeah,
and
Cherish
long.
is coming out in May.
Thanks for that.
You're welcome. And then there seemed to be an extra one here, Sweet Vengeance.
Okay.
7, which is also supposed to be coming out this year. So if we're lucky, we get 2 Grace books.
And those Grace books, we wait until the audiobook is released and we listen to them.
Yeah, but
which is torture
the
also.
The book comes out immediately. And this Chain of Thorns book, in Storytel, the audiobook is out, but the ebook comes out in May.
No.
So I can't read it.
Wow.
I have to listen to it.
Wow.
I know. I don't know why.
Interesting. That's very interesting.
It was weird. Because I was like, I'd like to read a little bit. And then I was like, this will not let me choose reader.
I have some friends on Goodreads that I went to high school with and know me from back at home in Toronto. And they have been asking me, do you have this book that you're reading? Can I read it next? And I always say, no, it's an ebook. I can't, of course, share it with you. Or it's an audiobook.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's always like, how is it to read on your phone? As if this is a new concept.
But I get this question all the time too.
Or how can you listen to?
How can you read on your phone?
Yeah.
I would never be able to.
Right?
The text must be so small. I'm like, well, you
your
choose.
Your eyes hurt, head hurt, the lighting.
I'm like, you choose your font size. You can have it one letter per page if you want to. So
spelling contest.
Yeah, no, I do. I get that question a lot too. But I think, like you said, with the quantity of books that we read, we'd need our own personal library attached to our house.
And sometimes they would be garbage books that we could
so much garbage
use to build a new shelf.
Just the amount of money it would cost us to purchase all of these books as hardcovers or even pocketbooks. We have subscriptions in Scribed and in Storytel where we pay a set monthly fee, which gives us access to a certain amount of books. Obviously keeping in mind never to read the PDF ones because they don't give any money to the authors.
Exactly, those ones are...
But all the other books, did you see that? They came out last week that there's some calculation of how much you need to listen to Spotify before you start costing them money. Before they don't make any money on you.
Oh, no.
And it's 6 hours a day. And I'm like, Jerrica and I are surely costing Storytel
We're really up there. With
And I mean, Scribe, they just put you in jail.
They put us in jail.
When they start costing them money, they're like, you're done. You spent all our money. Like, whatever your fee is paying for, like, it's done now.
But it makes me hate Scribe when it put me in jail so often that I was like, I hate this company. I'm going over to Storytel.
But, I mean, I still have both. And then I end up buying things in Kindle or in Apple Books if they just don't have them in one of the
But then the ebooks
apps
that we read in whatever app we choose to read it in, there's always options for, like you said, font, but not only just the size of it, but the color of it, too.
Actual font, too. Like, say you hate freaking Times New Roman and choose something else.
And you can also choose the backlighting and then the page color. The page color and the lighting of your own phone.
Yep.
And I have read now, most recently, when I'm reading the ebooks, with black background and white lettering.
Mine goes with the time of day.
Yeah,
so
nice.
It goes black in the evenings, and during the day it's beige with black text,
exactly.
And then at night it's black with white text.
Nice, I like that too. I like black. I like black or gray or beige or green, but white is too strong, and I think that's what people think these ebooks are. Especially when it comes to being on your phone. It's like, obviously, this is only going to be a white text, but it's not.
But I get it all the time. Like, I need the feel of a book in my hands. Yes. And then I'm like...
Tell me about the feel of a book.
The feel of a book in my hands. You know, that cramping feeling in your thumb. You have to hold it open.
The paper cuts?
The paper cuts. When you lie on your back and you need to hold it over your hand and then your
arm is tired.
Shaking. Or if you accidentally fall asleep, like that book's heavy on your face.
You also need light somewhere, right? So you need to have like a book light or a light in the room.
Exactly.
Then you need to turn it off.
You might need to shift it based on which page you're on.
And then what if you like forget which page you're on? Like how you need a bookmark.
What if you're forgetting your book at home and you get stuck somewhere? Like I was in Stockholm this week and then I missed my train by 2 minutes and had to sit for 57 minutes at Sundbyberg station, which is not even Stockholm Central, which means it's got nothing. It's got a slight heated waiting cube on the like platform. Okay. But there's literally nothing. And I was like, if I would have been a reader of books, and I would not have brought that because, well, I already have my computer, already have my work stuff. I would have had to sit there and twiddle my thumbs. I don't know,
I know. Do you know what people do that when they don't read books? They are on social media. They look at Instagram. They shop.
It's much worse for your eyes.
Exactly, but I mean, why not? I'm pretty sure. I mean, it's worse for your brain because it's nonsense just looking at other people's pictures that are also not true. And I have had the most aha moment of perspective of social media recently, where I saw somebody post something on social media and then somebody in their life shared that post saying how, amazing everything is. And I am probably one of only maybe 5 or 10 people that actually know what's really going on.
Yeah.
And it is not what had been posted on social media. And I think this is exactly what social media is.
Obviously.
It is butterflies on the outside. But I don't feel like that for my own personal life. Like I don't post shit
all right,
that's fake.
If you were to believe my social media, I would still be in Canada because that's the last time I posted.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, for sure. Reading books is better than social media.
Exactly. Because it's all pretend. It's all fake news.
You can be on social media while
at the same time. What?
Multitasking.
Yeah.
Multitasking. No.
Yesterday I was listening to a book in my ear and it was right after dinner, so it was like calm down time. And Johan is like, what are you doing on your phone? And instead of saying, I'm listening to a book, I said, oh, look, I'm trying to find a new foundation. It was like all of these questionnaires of what color is your skin tone? Are you this face or this face, this face or this face? And he was like, oh, that's a weird thing. And he moved on. But if I had said, I'm reading, he would have been like, you're always effing reading.
Yeah. And what can we say? We have a podcast. We have work to do here. We need to keep it up. Yeah, that's the only reason we read, sure.
Yeah.
Because we had 135 episodes where we talked about every book last year. For sure. No, but I mean, ebook versus regular book, for sure. If it's your thing, you need to feel the paper under your hands to enjoy a story, then good for you.
No, but do you know what you should do then? Then get the book that you liked. Yeah. Because I wouldn't mind owning the Glow series. I own like hardcover.
I would mind owning the Glow series.
You would mind?
I would mind. I hated that fucking book, the last one. Okay, but like, it's been ruined for me. I would have to do book burning or something.
You don't even need the fourth book in this series. It's a nonsense book. Just have the first three, then get the fifth one, and then that will be enough for the end of the story. Anyways, I have the court books. You have the chaos books.
Well, you have the chaos.
I have the chaos books in my.
I lent them to you. You just haven't returned them.
No, I haven't. I have a couple of your books actually, and those books, like, I don't mind having in my house.
But the reason I had the chaos books is because my kid, who's 15 and should be all digital all the time, is like, nah, I like reading books. But he doesn't actually like reading books. He actually just puts them to the side and don't read them. But he's all like, I would never read on my iPad. And I'm like, but why? So convenient.
It is.
It is. It's so convenient. When I have my book on my phone, I always have it with me. I jump into my car, it connects to my speakers, I can listen when I drive, I get out, I plug in my headphones, I'm reading, or I sit down, I have some time to kill, I can just pick up my phone, read a little bit of an ebook, and then when people come, I just say where I am, put my phone away, and it's all good. And the best part about ebooks, if you're like me, liking spotting continuity errors, you get somewhere you're like, this doesn't seem quite right. There's a search function at the top. You go like typing in a keyword and it will show you where that page was and it will tell you that, haha, you are right.
It is super convenient.
They did say this 4 pages ago and now they're saying something different.
You're right.
Yeah.
I also like to see, like, especially in Kindle, where people highlight their favorite sentences that, like, mean something to them throughout the book. Yeah. I really enjoy seeing that.
Like the little underlining, like the dotted line, And I love, and I mean, I do it more and more now. I highlight in my books, and sometimes I write a little bit of a comment about it. And then at the end of the book, me, who remembers none of the book but the feeling, if I actually want to have a little summary, I go back into my ebook and I go to my notes, and it will have all my highlighted passages with whatever I wrote about them. And then I will actually remember. Which I guess I could do with a regular book, is sit there with my highlighter.
I follow this girl on Twitter and she does it for hardcover. She does all these annotations and she does these like cute little hearts around like words and things like that. I'm like, that's time. Like that's a lot of effort.
And also you are now kind of ruining the book maybe.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. You can't let anybody else borrow that.
So I am ebook, audiobook. But I mean, I don't hate real books. I find it like when I'm given a real book, I'm like, ugh, I need to bring it with me. It's heavy and stuff. But I mean, some books are worth having in my house, for sure.
Yesterday I finished listening to this book that was called Little Black Book. It was recommended on Twitter, TikTok. A friend told me about it also, that it's like in the zone of things that I like to read. Recently, so, hot romance.
Fluffy, hot romance.
Yeah, okay. And you would hate this, but
I already hate it.
The reason why I wanted to read this was because that it's a multiple authored book. There's 3 authors to it. And I think that that's like sort of what's happening now as a new wave forward in creative writing.
But it's not new though, because I love Cassandra Clare and I love Holly Black, and those two, they write together all the time. And then Leigh Bardugo has like, she thanks one of the other authors that we likes at the beginning of a book. Thank you for always reading my books. Like, and they collaborate like. There's like this little triangle of authors I like, and they all write together.
Are they writing the books, co-authoring the books?
Co-authoring books, okay. For sure.
Anyways, so I listened to it, and this book was just 100% pure garbage. And the guy is like, there's nothing redeemable about the male character. 0 things. He's awful, horrible person. and the girl is like semi-decent, really lots of shit happened to her.
Holly Black and Cassandra Clare.
Yeah, you're right.
Co-authored.
Yeah. Anyways, somebody had asked me if I had this book to lend them. And I want to be like, I thank the actual like book gods that I do not own this book, because I do not need anybody. I don't think anybody needs to read this. It was so bad. Like just the epitome of like horrible romance. And you know when the next author comes in because he changes this character. He changes his personality all the way, completely different person.
But I think if you're going to write together, because we have a few, when we talked about this before, like, wasn't it Lauren Oliver, like,
Christina Lauren.
Christina Lauren is...
They're two people.
Yeah, they're two people. And, I mean, they write together seamlessly. But I think it could be interesting to see a book with, like, a romance book where you follow a boy and a girl, and one author writes the boy and one author writes the girl. Because then that would be really interesting to me.
I like that. Yes.
Let's homework time, authors out there, go write us a book like this. We want to read it and send it our ways because we want it.
And first person with multiple narrations. Thank you.
All right. And thank you so much for listening. And we'll be back soonish.
Okay, bye.
We'd Rather Be Reading is an original podcast by Jerrica and Lia and Theme music for The Penguins, written and performed by David Allred from the album The Transition, courtesy of Erased Tapes. Please check him out on Spotify and check us out on social media. We're on Facebook and Instagram at We'd Rather Be Reading and on Twitter at We'd Rather Read. You can also email us at we'dratherbereadingthepod@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.